Hello, everyone, and welcome to our talk show today. I'm going to be your host, Akima Lilian, along with.
Kirezingwana Marie, merci.
So, welcome everyone. As you can see, we have an audience here, and they're going to be sharing with us today. And let's start by everyone introducing themselves. Thank you.
Um, I'm Ida Tuedros, stage 10.
I'm Rico in stage 7.
I'm Shakina in stage 7.
I'm Oria, stage 7.
I'm Faith from stage 7.
I'm Lorraine from stage 9.
I'm Gladys from stage 9.
Phoebe from stage 9.
Priyanshi from stage 9.
Julia from stage 11.
Sheba from stage 10.
Aisha from stage 11.
Esther from stage 11.
Ardi from stage 11.
Huguette from stage 9.
Sienna from stage 9.
Angelo from year 10.
Habiba from stage 9.
Andrian from stage 10.
Ben Kelly from grade 8.
Chisa David from stage 11.
Okay, thank you everyone. We would like to welcome all of you to our talk show today. Please feel welcome and thank you guys.
Yeah, so today we're making a talk show about the new schedule for the starting of our classes and the ending time. As you can see, we have the young generation ready to share their views, their opinions, and what they think about this new system. We hope you enjoy. Please, may we receive the first speaker?
Hi. I think personally that the new change is mostly beneficial, since in the morning it was always a struggle to get up, you know, because you'd wake up, you'd have to rush, maybe you wouldn't get to eat breakfast because you were in a rush, and sometimes you'd even forget things like your notebooks that you left out, then you have to rush to school because there's about 20 minutes to get to school, and what I've heard is not very good for especially people who take the bus, but now I think it's better since, you know, you have time to wake up, you have time to eat breakfast, you have, even if you want to wake up a little earlier, you can do some extra studying or homework you forgot to do. Now, even if you want, you could sleep in for extra time. That way, students aren't as sleepy in class, at least during the morning, but during the day, since we're at school for longer, during you know, sunlight hours, gets very hot around noon and people start dozing off around then too. But beside that, there's nothing too bad about it being in school. It's really when you get home that's the problem, since at the end of the day it's 5. Some people get home very late, even like when they take the bus. But even if you're like, you can actually get home at a reasonable time, like 5 minutes after school ends, let's say, so around 5:05, 5:35, around that time. It's just difficult to get the rest of things done, like your homework, your chores, things like that, especially if, I don't know, you have to, if you're like the only one in the house. Sometimes I've heard that now that school's like later, school ends later, it gives more people time to spend time with their parents, because most of the time when they left home, it would be, you know, when they left home earlier, they would be home alone, but now that they're going home later, they're with their parents. But it's still a struggle to get like chores done, like even when, because it's, you have a few hours of sunlight left, so like if you would want to do something like the laundry, unless you have a dryer, it's probably not going to be dry until then. If you want to like clean the house, if it's dirty, then you would have to sacrifice your homework. If you want to do your homework, you'd have to sacrifice getting your chores done, stuff like that. There's just not enough time at the end of the day, but that's good since you could maybe possibly do it in the morning the next day. So I think it's overall beneficial.
So, Ada, do you ever find it difficult to do things like chores and homework after school?
Definitely, especially like I said, laundry. Usually I would be the one in the family to take care of the laundry. So I would have like this like schedule of when to do the laundry, so none of my clothes would be dirty. But now it's more difficult. I have to make sure that like everything's clean, but everything's dry by the time I have to use them, and it just gets all mixed up sometimes. But I think it's just something that you have to adjust to with all changes, you know?
Thank you very much, Ada. Thank you. So, Rico, what do you think about the change of the system from starting from 7:30 to 4, and now we're starting from 8:30 and we end at 5?
I actually think it's more beneficial because, like Ida said, we have more time to spend with our family, and we can prepare ourselves for school in the morning, so we don't need to be rushing that much. But the problem is after school at 5, we don't have enough time to do our homeworks or do our chores, and so extracurricular activities have to be cut off because we have more stuff to do at home. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so do you think, according to you, it was better when we started at 7:30 and ended at 4?
Yeah, I do think it's better because we had enough time to do more of what we like to do. And I know many people think it's just 1 hour, but a lot can be done in 1 hour.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
May we receive the next speaker?
Yeah, okay, so, my name is Akina. Okay, so I think that this new change has advantages and disadvantages, okay? Because in the morning, you have enough time to prepare yourself. And yeah, we get more time to spend with our parents and all that stuff. But once you arrive at home, you do not have like enough time to do your homework, chores, and like all that stuff. And of course, have a social life, so you need free time. You need to watch movies and stuff. So, like, it's kind of hard to balance everything. Cause let's say my parents, right, come home like they'll come to pick me up at like 5:10. I'm at home at like 5:30. 6:30 I'm done watching movies and stuff. Okay, no, 7. I'm done watching movies and stuff, and yeah, I don't really have enough time to do homework and all that stuff.
Thank you. So, Shekina, I'm going to ask you the same question. Do you think 7:30 and at 4 was better than these new changes?
Yeah.
How are you adapting to this? Like, it's been starting since January and we're about to end it. All this time, how have you been adapting to the new changes?
Okay, it's been kind of hard because, as I said, I don't get enough time to do my homework. But yeah, it's kind of hard.
Do you find enough time to speak with your parents at least?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, a better society, what the president is actually looking at in the Rwandan community. And as you can see, she's mentioned something very important, speaking with parents, discussing, talking, and bringing up that family spirit in the members of our Rwandan society. And do we have anyone who'd like to speak? Faith, please.
In my opinion, this system is kind of hard sometimes, but also good at the same time. Because when we come to the fact that President Kagame looked into this, it's a good thing that the government noticed that it's actually important for kids. When we start at 8:30, those 30 minutes when we come at school like at 8, if I come at school at 8, those 30 minutes I can revise, which is a good thing because I get into the mood of studying and stuff. And we get to speak with the parents because like sometimes you will wake up earlier and just go to school before they wake up, and you just couldn't even get to say hi. But then when we come to the afternoon hour, when we go home from school to 5. It's kind of hard. It's really hard for like people who take buses and people who go home by foot, because if I live at Kanombe, okay, it would take like for me 2 hours to get there, and I won't have time to do all the things I have to do, the chores, the homework, and sometimes they give us a lot of homework, which is really hard to do it. But if it was possible and they would change the time to like 4, it would be better, because we would do other things and we would feel comfortable, and it wouldn't be that hard. But you just get adapted to it because it's life. But if they would change a little bit more time for us to go home earlier, it would be better.
Thank you very much. As you've seen, successful people are determined by the way they adapt to changes. And as you can see, we have people here who are going to be successful due to their adapting to many changes like this new schedule. What do you think about that?
I think it's amazing. However much we keep coming on a recurring thing where everyone's okay with 8:30, but then when it comes to the ending time, that's where we find it difficult, because there's less time, and when you get home, you get in the house, and by the time you come back out, it's already dark. So I guess that is something that can be very challenging for students. But Anasa, so you said that something about you finding it difficult during going home hours. So do you think if they changed back the system from 8:30 and then they changed it back to 7:30 starting school hours, do you think it would be better? Because then you'd come to school at 7, and that time that you used to do the extra revision and stuff that you did from 8:30, you can do it at 7 to 7:30. I'm not really sure, but like the starting time is really fine with me. I'm fine with coming at school to 8:30 because I get to sleep in, and I really love sleeping. But when we go home later, it wouldn't be that good. But in my opinion, I think if it's possible, they can change to 8:30 to at least 4, because we get to do the other things we have to do at home and the social life that we have. We get to meet new people and stuff. Well, there we go. A new suggestion whereby we could start school at 8:30 and end at 4, which I think would be good, because less school hours means that, the brain doesn't get extremely tired as you're in school. So yeah, thank you very much, Anasa. So how about you, Oria? What do you think about this?
So in my opinion, the fact that we come at school at 8:30 and then go home at 5, it's really good, because we get time to sleep and then wake up and then prepare ourselves to come to school. Like we have time, and then the time to go at home at 5, I don't really like it, because like for people who live in Gatenga, Kicukiro, those stuff, they reach at home like at 7 or 6, and we don't get enough time to do our homeworks, rest, or do anything. Like we just reach home and then we're tired. Yeah, so I think that like we have to study, like come at school at 8:30 and then finish at 4. Yeah, thank you.
Still on the same suggestion of starting school at 8:30 and ending at exactly 4. So if we have any other speaker would like to add on something?
Okay, thank
Habiba?
you. Thank you very much. How about you, Habiba? Tell us your opinion on this new system.
I personally think that changing the time from 7 to 8, it makes no sense, because you're just adding 1 hour, and like people who go by bus, like they go out at 7, so they don't have that time to do their homeworks and chores and everything. But like coming home at 5, that's like too tiring for a student, because he starts at 6, he wakes up at 6, goes to school at 7, and goes back home at 5. Like it just like doesn't allow him to have that time with his family, because they're like families who work with the government, like they also need to rest. They also need to like have time of their own. So, but like an advantage to that, it gives like students to be organized for classes. But like some pupils go to school with an empty stomach. But like adding time makes them being well fed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Habiba. So, we keep getting this issue whereby students don't have enough time to do their homework with this new system. They don't have enough time to do chores. So, think about this. If we were to keep this system, right, of 8:30 to 5, but then during school hours, they give reduced homework. They reduce like the amount of work that they give you or assignments to take at home. Or at home, you do less chores. Do you think that would make this system better?
No, I don't think so.
How come?
Because like, if you said that you changed the time to like let students spend time with their families, but like adding more assignments and stuff like that, that's gonna like prevent them from doing that.
No, I didn't say they add assignments. If they could reduce the number of assignments that they give for you to take home, which takes up most of the time that before you go to sleep and everything. So do you think that would be better if they could reduce their assignments, or you have like reduced chores?
No, reduce the assignments, definitely.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So, Andrea, what do you think about it?
Okay, so overall, my opinion on the topic is neutral. From my experience as a student doing IGCSE, the change of times has been at an advantage and disadvantage depending on the time. So starting school at 8:30 allows students to organize supplies beforehand. Pupils used to travel to class on an empty stomach, and now that we start later, it allows students to go to class well fed. Although finishing at 5 means that students who go home by bus and by car might arrive late, especially if they live far, because traffic is more likely. And when they reach home late, that means they've got less time to study, to revise, and to complete their homework, which they are pressured into giving in the next day. And as there are some students who do IGCSE and A-level, they've got upcoming mocks, meaning that they are pressured into studying as well. And it means that they've got less time for things such as chores or time for communication with family. I think that the Ministry of Education could lessen the time, the school hours. Instead of being in school for 9 hours, they should at least lessen it to 7 hours. So, yeah.
That's really good. She has mentioned just how it's more stressful, bringing up the academic pressure that students are facing when they have so many homeworks to do within a short period of time. And as you can see, academic pressure is something that really stresses the student, especially when they have exams to prepare for. And maybe if the government, if by any chance the government can see this, maybe they can take some notes and change something. What do you think about that?
I think it would be good if we think about the reduction of the number of hours we spend at school, I guess, or just the ending time, because it seems to be the main issue with the new system, because I don't think anyone has a problem with a little bit of extra time before going to school.
Yeah, exactly. They come to school while they're either breakfast, the most important.
Well-fed.
Yeah, exactly. And they have even time to see their parents before they come to school, which means bringing up that family spirit we're looking for.
And I think that's amazing.
Ben Kelly, would you like to speak?
So changing the school hours to 8:30 has been beneficial to me, since like mostly me, I like sleeping a lot. So I wake up at 8 and I reach school at 8:20. I still profit from the 10 minutes and I revise. And normally in the morning when we come to school 7:30, would like face traffic accidents. Most cars are stuck in the traffic and you don't really advance when you're going to school. But since we go at 8:30, there is a lot of time to advance. Some go at 7, others go 7:30, and others go 8. So it has reduced the percentage of the deaths caused by traffic accidents. And when you reach to school, it's really easy because you revise a lot, and even when you didn't have time to finish your homeworks like the last day, you can still finish them in the 30 minutes. And when going home 5, I don't really have a problem with it because me, sometimes I would have to go to the academy, but they changed the time, so the time is fine with me. So thank you.
So you said you had to go to the academy, right? What academy are you talking about?
Football one.
So you're a football player?
Yeah.
So this new system has not affected your training time in any way?
Well, it has affected it because we would have to start at 4 and end at 5. But since me, I need to get there at 5:30 and end at 6. And mostly it's really dark, so you don't really get to practice that nice.
So you find it very challenging to have to practice during the dark, when it's getting dark?
Yeah, first it was very challenging, but I got adapted to it.
Oh, so you think that it would be good if this system remained the way as it is?
Yeah, because it's really good. Like, even you get to meet with your parents. Sometimes most parents come home at 21 and you can't really see them since you need to go bed 20. And then in the morning you see them at 8, you talk, and then you have to come to school. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ben Kelly, for your view and your opinion. David, what would you like to tell us about this?
Okay, so this new system, I think it's very beneficial for all parents and students because it was really good because if you got used to something, waking up at 6 and then reaching home 7:30, it's not something you can easily change. So it gives you more time in the morning to reflect, to study, to pray. It's really good for mental and physical health for those who want to do sports in the morning, and it really gives you, it allows you to enter in that school mood. You know, you're going to study. You don't just wake up, oh my God, I have 20 minutes left, I have to come to school. You miss breakfast, you don't pack some books, you know, you miss some materials, which is all gonna affect your day. So I think coming to school at 8:30 was really necessary, and it's a good program. But I really think stopping at 5 is not really good because it doesn't really make sense because you still wake up at that 6 and stop at 5, which means you have more time to think, you have more schoolwork, because if you stop at 5, it means your homework you do in the morning, right? So you reach at home 5, chores, maybe talk with your family if they're still there, and you go to bed, and then you wake up early the next morning to do your homework, right? And it doesn't really change much from 7 to 4 because the work you do from 4 to 6, you still do it from 7 to 8, right? So it really doesn't make sense, but it makes it more tiring, and also something that your body gets used to is not really, your body will react to that change, right? So if we used to having lunch at 1 and now we have it at 2:20, you'll be hungry from 2 to 2:20, right? Those 20 minutes you'll probably not pay attention in class because you're hungry. You'll probably doze off because you don't have enough nutrients running in your body, so it will affect your studies. And then also from lunch to 5, after lunch to 5, it also affects your studies. It's mostly really hot due to climate change, so the environment will not be suitable for studying. So I think this program, it has both its advantages and disadvantages.
Thank you, David. So you mentioned something about doing your homework in the morning. So do you think that within from changing from 7:30, the time you have in the morning, with now you sleeping in, right, getting more time to sleep, and then you wake up, you have to get ready, you have to pack your stuff for school, you have to, prepare for school. Do you think that gives you enough time to do your homework and everything in the morning?
Well, you can really, it depends on how organized you are, because packing your materials, you can do that from 5 to 6. It's not something that really takes a long time, but when you're stressed in that morning time, when you're rushing, you would forget, right? But if you're really organized, you will not have a problem with waking up 6, do your homework from 6 to 7:30, and then from 7:30 to 8 you get prepared for school, and then you come. But the one thing I forgot to mention was the traffic, right? It really affects the traffic if if, for example, those who come to school by car, this really didn't change much because people will still wake up at 7:30 and you all meet in the same road at 8, right? And you're all rushing to get to school and then parents get to work. So it really doesn't change much about the traffic. Yeah.
So going back to the point where you have to wake up at 5. So if you have to wake up at 5, right, to do your homework and all that, do you think it makes much of a difference than when you used to wake up at 5? Because when we used to go to school 7:30, maybe you go home earlier and do your homework and everything. But now you have to wake up at 5, right? So you can do your homework and make school at 8:30. How much of a difference do you think there really is with your sleeping schedule and everything?
Okay, well, I think it's really good because then when you're doing your homework in the morning, you really understand, right? If you do your homework in the evening, your brain is really tired. Sometimes you might even fail what you're doing, but in the morning you have more time, you understand. And especially me as a candidate, I really think it's good because I can get time for revision, I can get time to do my homeworks and pass very well. And because you really have more time to study when your brain is still fresh, right? But doing it in the afternoon, however, it's really hard because your brain is tired, you don't want to study, you're physically tired, mentally, and yeah, it will really affect your studies.
Thank you very much, David. He has given us another very solid point whereby parents and students are now colliding due to traffic in the morning. So basically, even if you get up early, you still get to school, a little bit later because of the colliding of cars, parents going to work, students going to school. It's really a lot of collision. What do you think, Marie?
I think it's something happening in the real world. But at first, I used to think that that's not a big of a problem going to school or like at a later time because the government as well changed the studying hours for the government workers studying at 9. So now he's brought up some new perspective in this audience whereby going to school at the same time with parents going to work, it's a kind of collision. And as you know, accidents can actually happen, and it's kind of difficult for students to adjust to that system whereby you're like in a traffic, but school is yet to start and everything, and you start to stress. You start to even miss those minutes that you had planned to do your homeworks or get ready to study. And I think that's actually something that people should put into consideration, not only for Madam Mary's students, but also for the entire Rwanda. So, yeah.
Thank you. So, Shiba, what do you think about starting at 8:30 and ending at 5?
Thank you. I would love to start by thanking the government for changing the system. Personally, I love it. It works for me. But like some kids, personally, I used to wake up in the morning, like 3, to study. And some other kids also used to wake up very early to study and also get the bus. But now we have like an extra hour, like I wake up at 5 or 6 to study, which is better because I get enough sleep now, and I get the bus or the moto at around 7, so 7:30, which I think it really helps a lot with enough sleep and enough energy in the morning to get through your day. Because the old system, you would find some kids dozing maybe in the morning, like you wonder what happened to this kid's sleep. But now the system is really good because no kids are dozing anymore in class in the morning. However, at 4, at 5, it's really hard because some of us are we're all used to the 4 o'clock time, which makes it hard at 4 to 5 because your brain is already like shutting down, like you're tired from the, like as my fellow classmates say, David, like the climate change, there's just too much sun, like you're exhausted. So I don't think it really works because you get at 5, by 5 you're already tired. And some kids who even walk by foot to their home, you find if they get out at 5, they reach maybe their home at 6, it's dark, and it's dangerous for the kids to walk by that time. And even us who take motors or even buses, you reach at home maybe 5:40, almost 6. Even others reach at home 7, which reduces the time you take to do your homeworks, chores, and everything. And you're already tired, so I think you just eat and go to bed, which I think is a really big con. Overall, I think it really works for me. It really works for me, even though I think they should maybe reduce the school hours to 8:30, from 8:30 to 4, because the evening hours is really tiring. I don't think it works. So thank you.
Thank you for your perspective around this new hour schedule. So do you think that maybe the same question that I asked Ida, do you think that if the school was like able to reduce the number of assignments they gave, will you still help, or would you still have the same perspective about this new change?
I would, because our lives are not only based on school. Like we have co-curricular activities to do. I have too, so I don't reach at home and think that I'm going to do homeworks and sleep. So those are taken up, like the hours of the co-curricular activities are taken out, whether you're going to do them outside school or school, because we used to have extras, but the time is reduced. So I don't think it would work, because whether the assignments are reduced or not, the time of co-curricular activity is still taken up, and other stuff like talking with the family, just refreshing your mind in general. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Lillian, what do you think about that?
I think what she says brings up a lot of, things about your brain being refreshed. And as we know, a well-rested mind will do better in school, because when you're well-rested, it gives you time to think. You think well. Thinking can be very stressful. And it can be exhausting when you think about something so much, and every time, it keeps your mind exhausted. And when you're exhausted, you can't exactly think through. So I think that a well-rested mind is very important and crucial, which is something that the government has looked upon when they gave us to start school at 8:30. But again, the 5 ending at 5, it's still becoming a big problem. But yeah, thank you very much. So Julia, how are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm okay. So what do you think about this?
Yeah, thank you. I think we are all on the same page when we agree that the starting time is beneficial for most of us, but the closing time for school is not really advantageous to most of us. With the starting time, traffic has been mentioned as a problem, whereby the hours parents go to work and kids go to school, we clash in the middle, and it makes us arrive late at school. Another disadvantage on the closing time would be that students that travel a long distance from home going to school, especially on foot, can run into dangers such as robberies and muggings throughout the streets when it's too dark, and I feel like that's putting them in a dangerous situation, as well as the reduced time to do things. Some of us as candidates, we have a lot of homework, we have a lot of work to do, and when we reach home, we can only focus on that, and those who prefer work to life would probably even go to bed without eating. So I don't really think that the closing time benefits most of us. However, as Lillian mentioned, a well-rested mind works best. So waking up later at 7 allows more students to go to school feeling better and well-rested and ready to gain all the content that's going to be taught throughout the day. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Julia. I think that with everything that we've heard so far, we've got a problem. There's no problem with starting at 8:30. 8:30 is a great hour because you're well rested. You can take breakfast, the most important meal of the day. But when it comes to 5, it's really a big problem because of the extra work and the timing. It's just not exactly working out for everyone. But Julia mentioned something more interesting, whereby we're talking about parents clashing with the students, school hours, going to traffic, whereby if you go from school like from 7:30, you reach school at 8, or you reach school later than 8. So it's not exactly giving efficiency for like school hours, because you reach school late and you can miss a bunch of like the beginning of a class, which someone once told me that the first 10 minutes, I think, yeah, the first 10 minutes of a class are the most crucial moments, because that's how you get the attention of the students. So it's very important that students are not late to school. I think so. So how about you, Marie?
I think it's real. It's happening, and as she said, we're on the same page for both the starting hours, were we okay with that? Because as you said, we have breakfast, we have the time to talk with our parents and everything, but like the closing hours again are still being a kind of problem that keeps on recurring. And as I keep on mentioning, I really hope that the government can actually see this, because this is not actually a problem happening only in Mother Mary. Other schools are also facing this, and the fact that it's coming again, I think it's something that should be put into consideration, because we never know, we might kind of delay on that and can actually cause many damages that we do not expect.
So Julia, so with the way that the school system is going for now, because as you said, it only takes time to adapt. Maybe it's because the system is just recent that we're facing all these challenges. Let's see, like by the end of the school year, just considering this year, how do you think the system will be working out then?
I think by the end of the school year, most people will have adapted, probably figured out ways to fit more tasks or less tasks into their schedule, and more people will have adapted, though some issues will still remain, like the traffic and the like less visibility as you're going back home, because it's late and it's dark.
Oh, thank you. You also mentioned something very interesting, whereby students that walk on foot may find it difficult going home because of, I don't know, dangers of walking in the dark, which as a child, our parents always told us, don't go out, in the dark when it's already dark. So I think that's a very key point, because the streets are not exactly safe for everyone. A student can face a lot of things when it's dark. You can barely see, you can trip, a lot of bad things. So Julia, have you ever had of anyone who's ever experienced anything bad going home from 5, a friend of yours or maybe?
Not one that I know personally, but on the news recently, they talk about people that have met these dangers while they're going back to school, and on the news they mention it as one of the bigger problems of the closing time, the new hours.
So if it's in the news, then it's gotta be very crucial then, right?
Yeah, it's something happening, and this is something that keeps a parent's heart not at ease, actually. It makes a parent start to worry about their kids. I'm sending a kid to school, but what is going to happen after when he or she is coming back? And the fact that parents are also stressed as well as the students at the same time, it's not actually what a better society looks like, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Julia.
Thank you.
Priyanshi, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you. So what do you think about the new system?
Of the starting time at 8, there's a benefit because some students weren't able to find good sleep in the morning, but now they have extra time to do things, and sometimes those students who walk to school, they miss the important meal of the day, which is the breakfast. They're rushing, they don't have time to get their breakfast. And because of the sleep, this new starting time can reduce the health issues that is caused by the lack of sleep. But about the ending time, everybody talks about the cons of the ending time, but there is also a benefit for some students. It could reduce the amount of time students are home alone because of their parents' schedule time and the working hours that the parents are working. So sometimes it's benefits for the students who are home alone for the ending time, but it also affects the schedule of the teachers, the students, the parents, because we are all used to the old time and the social life we all have. But now, because of the ending time, we don't have time to, do our homeworks. It eliminates the ability to do our homeworks, and yeah.
Thank you. So you mentioned something about students being alone for, like, students, the home time alone, how many hours that they have to be alone. What do you suppose can be a problem with students being home alone for that many hours that they need to go home at 5? What do you suppose? Like, so the number of hours that a child is home alone, what do you think can happen to that child, or something that they can do that means that it's better for them to go home at 5?
For me, I actually think that, when you're alone at home, the thinkings you have is something that is not appropriate. And being alone, nobody likes being alone at home and something. So going home at 5 will help them because they're with friends and.
Oh, thank you very much, Priyanshi. Thank you. What do you think, Marie?
I think it's something that that's actually happening, though she didn't exactly bring it out as I was expecting, because she talked about students being home alone. I was thinking that maybe danger could happen to them or anything, but like the way she explained can also apply to the students, the fact that they are home alone. So yeah, thank you for bringing up that new concept that hasn't been shared before. Phoebe, do you like to share something?
So about this whole situation, I'm practically like neutral on it. So the starting hours is obviously very good. Personally, it has helped me very much, and I've benefited from it. For example, now I can take breakfast, and before I couldn't. And I can take my time while walking now in the morning, and before I had to rush all the time. But on the other hand, the ending hours are not at all good. So, for example, there are kids out there, not me, who walk home, right? And we get out of school at 5, and they live like probably like an hour away from school. So they're getting home at 6, and by 6 it's already dark. So like Julia said, it's very dangerous. And as a person who walks home, I'm also very scared. So I think that the school should put back our ending hours, since it was very beneficial for all of us, since we have a life away from school too. And I think they should go back. So I think the school should put back our ending hours, since it was very beneficial for all of us. We have a life apart from school too, and we could get home earlier for the people who work too, since not everyone's talking about them that much. We're much more safer going home at 4 instead of going home at 5.
Thank you very much, Phoebe. So I've been hearing a point since, the beginning of this discussion, where everyone's talking about having a social life and, the benefits of being able to have that social life. Phoebe, how important do you think it is for a student to have a social life aside from their education?
I think it's very much important because it's crucial. I mean, social life, having friends and all that is very good, because not only does it help your mental health, it's fun to have friends. Like, you can't always be lonely, and if you're always focusing on education, the stress is gonna get to you. You're gonna be lonely, and it's gonna take a toll on your mental health.
Thank you. So do you think, like, within those home hours, it is the time to really socialize with your friends? I thought that was what the weekend was for.
Well, I personally, some people do that after school, but I don't. For example, I get home and I can rest, but now I can't because I have to do homework. After I do homework, my chores, dinner, and sleep, and I don't have time to like talk to my friends. It doesn't have to be like physical. It can be on a call or just texting.
So you talk to your friends after your chores and homework, everything?
Yeah, but now I can't do that anymore.
You can't do it anymore?
Yeah, not
You
that
used to do it
much.
at 4, but now you can do it at 5.
No.
Wow, 1 hour
I have
can
to
really
sleep
make a
early.
difference.
Rico mentioned it. There is a lot we can do in 1 hour, actually. Yes.
Thank you very much, Phoebe. Gladys, tell us, what do you think about this change of the system?
The time change is personally really good for me because I I'm a person who's really used to waking up at 8. That's the time I really feel energized. Most people used to wake up at night, and the brain still sees darkness, which means it still has like a feeling of sleeping, which makes us really tired. Most people used to sleep in their buses, maybe have injuries or something. Yeah, but since I was adapted to it, it really helped me. The time to go home, I don't really have a problem with it personally, because yeah, if I have that 1 hour change of me sleeping, I don't really usually get that tired. Um, yeah. Also, the reason why I think a lot of people are not adapting to it is because you reach at home. For those who rewear their uniforms, you have to wash them. They may not be dry by the next day, and like you wear wet clothes. And also, when you reach home, you need to relax, but you need to do your homework, which is really hard for you to concentrate, knowing that you're really tired and knowing that you have a lot of other things to do. Maybe you used to be like, let me do my homework, and then you're like, but still, I still have to do this thing first for another thing, because most of us, what we do when we reach home is basically just take 30-minute break, relaxing, like, yeah, thinking about yourself, as in just relaxing your brain because it has gone through a really long day. The thing that I also found hard is that we're thinking that we're bonding with our parents when they come from home, like at the same time as us, but they're also tired. Just because your parent comes from work doesn't mean that their work is done. They still have to come home, do their work, and also eat. Try to communicate with you, which is really hard. And like before, I used to like really not see my parents, but now daily they bring me here, they take me back. They bring me here and they take me back. So that's just really good, because before at 7 you'd find yourself like students used to come back home, and because their parents are not there, they just, you know, like you have some things that bother you that you really need to share with someone, but since your parents are not there, you don't know how to express yourself with them, and you find yourself like growing boundaries between you and your parents. And also, like when you grow those boundaries, like it's just you end up not understanding each other, and everything you do, it just really complicates you. But luckily, I'm really just getting used to it. I've adapted, and hopefully others will adapt. But yeah.
Thank you very much. Oh, do you have something else to say? Oh.
But the thing is that, see, that bonding we're calling bonding is actually not really bonding. And plus, I have found a personal method to help me like manage my time. Like, if I need to get my books ready for school, I usually just do it the night before. Or anything else, if I have forgotten something, I'll just try to write it down so that in the morning I could remember it.
Yeah, so you said that you are adapted to the new system. Was it easy for you to adapt, or was it a kind of difficulty at first?
It's quite easy because all I do when I reach home is not that complicated. And plus, if I have that 1 hour of sleep the night before, then I'm gonna be more energized, because I would find myself like some lessons being really tired to the fact that I can't understand, or I'm just not really concentrated. But because of the time difference, I found myself like trying to really adapt to the things that I thought were hard for me, now just came really easily.
Yeah, you did also mention that bonding is not actually happening as we are saying around. Is it applying in your family? Were you bonding more when we were stopping school at 4 and starting at 7:30?
No, we weren't because they usually just came later than that. They come at around 21. Yeah. Um, so, and still, for those parents who came really at the same time as their children, they're also tired. They also need to relax. They need to continue with their work. Yeah.
Leanne, would you like to share something with us?
Thank you very much, Gladys. I think that was a great presentation by where she said that personally she doesn't have a problem with the system, which I think is really great because it just shows that she has great adaptation skills. And also she mentioned something about how it's all about personal management, right? If you can find a way to fix all your little chores or the tasks that you have to do within that time, it wouldn't be problematic when it comes to the morning or when it comes to homework. It's really all about how you manage yourself, and I think that's very good. Thank you, Gladys. Thank you very much. So how are you, Lauren?
I'm doing good, and personally, the changes work out for me well. And I also think it has been a benefit to all those who walk to school. And right now they can travel to school at a much safer time. But before the changes, they would get out of their homes when it's pretty dark, and at that time it's not at all safe. But then in the evening, it gets challenging for them. They'll have to get home late, have to do their chores, which is pretty much hard. And also, with the parents, I think with some parents, it hasn't been a benefit because the government did agree that they can start work at 9, I think, and not all businesses. I don't think all businesses have changed to that. So yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Lorraine. So when it comes to like the starting work hours of parents and students, it's not exactly the same for some businesses, and that's why it can be so challenging according to you, right?
Yes, it does.
Okay, thank you very much. What do you think, Marie?
I think she's bringing up her new perspective around this new changes in the school time and the working time, and it's unfortunate that it's not working for you. But do you think that before, when we were studying at 7:30, was much better for you to have that time?
Yeah, in the evening, yeah. But then in the morning, it is pretty good that they changed it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Angelo, would you like to share something?
Thank you. I myself, I am a sport person. My body is really adaptive to such times like this. I'm very no matter what time I sleep, I still wake up early. I don't know why, because my body is so energetic, so it's so easy for me to adapt to such things like this. So I think coming at school at 8:30 is not of a big deal for me, because recently I've been waking up at 7, the usual hours we've been having. So it's not really hard for me because there's not big of a difference, they made. But they made actually a big difference on hours of going home. Because for me, I would speak for those who take school buses. Because I get picked first. That's at 6:40. And I go home. I get home at 7, at around 7. And that's so hard for me, I can get a little bit, for a few hours, a few minutes of sleep, but in the bus it's not really comfortable. I'd lay my head on the window, and maybe I'm gonna get out of the bus, my head is paining, my neck is, kind of hurting, and so for me, this has been, effective to my sport time, because I used to go in sport, at 4, but now I cannot, because we're getting home at 5, and the coach is all over me, and he's like, "Oh, where you at?" there's a lot of things going on, and you're missing out, and we really like need you so much. So, it's kind of hard for me to get adaptive to that time. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Angelo. So, according to Angelo, it hasn't been a great change for him because he still wakes up at the same time he used to when he was 7:30. But then now the challenge becomes going home at 5 because he takes the bus. He has to reach home like at 7 when he used to reach at like 5:50 or 6. And that can be great, which also affects his training time as a sports person. So I guess that. Do you think that it would have been better if it would just be better for you if they could change back the system to 7:30 to 4?
No, actually, because I think the morning hours are better. The 8:30 is really good, and it's fine by me because I don't really mind because anytime I can wake up, I can sleep late and still wake up early. But the time of going home is really hard for me because recently we used to go home at 3:40, and you could get the training at 4, and it's really good. I suggest if the government could put the time as it used to be for national schools and for private school, going home at 4, it could be nice, it could be good, and
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Sorry, I have a question for you. So you mean that you are adapting to the studying hours, but it's hard for you to adapt to the late hours?
Yeah, it's really hard for me to adapt to the late hours because, it's really effective for me because I'm a sport person, personally. I like sports so much, so I like having myself, with sport for like 2 hours, 3 hours. I can spend any time, doing any type of sport because football is really good for me, and I think it's better for everyone to go at such hour, like at 4 and 3:40, and yeah.
And that can be difficult when you go home at 5?
Yeah, it will be difficult, so difficult for me if I go home at 5 because either ways I get home at 7 and, really tiring.
Thank you very much. So again, we run into the problem where we find it challenging ending school at 5. Don't you think so, Marie?
Yeah, it's still the same problem recurring whereby the hours of going home is still a problem that is being faced by students who have chores at home, students who are sportsmen, as you've seen, and as I keep on saying, hopefully the government can see this and make it change not only for Madame Marie School but also for the entire Rwanda. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Angelo, for that view. Sienna, how is it going?
Good.
So what do you think about starting school at 8:30 and ending at 5?
Okay, personally, waking up, not going to school at 8:30 is good, but let's take time for people like national schools who go home at 12. Then they end school at 12 because those people are getting affected by that time. Then going home at 5, let's talk about the kids, nursery kids, because those kids don't understand and they get home late, and they need to wake up early because they go by the bus. Some kids get at home like 7:30 and they're affected. So yeah.
Yes, Lily. And so as you've seen, she's mentioned nursery kids who are mostly affected by these new changes. And as you know, their mind is mostly tired, and getting adapted to this for a nursery kid, obviously, it's kind of hard. What do you think about that?
I think that's an interesting point of view when we're looking at younger kids because younger kids, their attention span can be very small. So when it comes to like starting school at 8:30, that's good because they can get enough sleep and go home, go to school later in the day. But then a younger child going to school leaving school at 5, that is just not exactly working out because by that time that's the time that they're planning on sleeping, and they're very tired. And when it comes to a child to like when they're tired, they're tired, like that's it. There's no going back. It's like, so I think that's not exactly the right thing for students, but 8:30 is working out great for them. Yeah. So thank you very much, Sienna. I think that's really great that you've thought about the younger kids too. Yeah.
Angelo, would you like to add on something?
Thank you. I would want to add on something to what my partner said, because like kids going home at that time is hard, because we like recently had a news about this King David bus. I don't know if it's King David, but Path to Success. Yeah, yeah. So they had an accident, and because of that going home at that time, it's really dark, and maybe people and yeah, it's gotta be hard for those kind of people, those younger kids to go home at such time, and but it can be in the morning, because there's still less traffic, there's gotta be a lot of things, but it's a little bit like dangerous for kids to
Yeah.
go home at such time.
Thank you very much, Angelo. I think that has been a storyline that's been very dear to us, because a lot of kids were hurt through that, and I think that with the ending hours and being, them being late and the traffic, there can be a lot of commotion, which again can lead to accidents. So it's not safe for young kids, or actually any kind of student within that time when there are a lot of cars, a lot of congestion. So it wouldn't work out, and would try to it would increase the chances of there being accidents. So thank you very much, Angelo and Sienna. Yeah. So Teta, what do you think about the new changing system?
So to begin, we are all good at starting with 8:30 because we're all freshed up to start to study for the whole day. But on the other hand, going home at 5, you never know what you might meet on the road, like traffic or accidents. So you might arrive home more late, and you have homeworks to do, research works, and revise for the next day. So that is really challenging. And we also have a social life, like we have to interact with people, like you might meet with a problem in the middle of the week, and you might need to talk to someone. So you need to have that person to move your mood up or bring the vibes, to continue moving all along with the week in a good mood. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Teta. Yeah, as you've seen, it's still the same problem recurring, the late hours of going home, which is still being a kind of commotion that is happening either on the road and at home while we're doing our homeworks and everything. So thank you for that nice speech. So.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Ardi, your turn.
So this topic has a lot to it because it has both advantages and disadvantages. But personally, as an AS student, I can say starting school at 8 has really helped me with studying a lot, because considering the fact that I had to wake up an hour earlier in order to study, have a personal moment for studying. The fact that that hour has been pushed forward into the day has really helped me sleep better and not have that rush of getting to school early. It has also definitely helped friction, smooth friction between the students and the school administration, because the one thing we used to collide on was arrival time. Arrival times before were from 7 to 7:20, meaning the whole school had 20 minutes to show up. But now there's been flexibility. We show up to school from 7 to 8, and that can actually answer to a lot of questions most people kept referring to, as in social life, interaction with friends. And another advantage to it is from 8 to 8:30, we have a 30 minutes preps. So that moment helps you really switch your mind to studying. Before, we used to come and then 10 minutes and studying immediately. You're still sleepy, having enough time to say good morning to your friends and all. But now it has really smoothened it up. The same problem keeps coming back. It is the returning time. And this time I want it, generally for students, it's very exhausting, because deja 9 hours of school, it doesn't make sense, because we're not considering the focus span of a child, considering primary kids, because this whole rule applies for all the students. another thing I'd like to reflect on is, well, the small children and eating times, because what the body gets used to, it's what it will react to. So the lunch and break times from before and now are a bit extended, and it can be difficult for the kids. And yeah, I would say that's it. But going home at 5, actually, considering the fact that it was to bring a bond closer to our parents, the whole changing of the times, I would say it's kind of giving for some students, because when you're in that traffic with your parents and they ask how was school, tiring, oh, same as work, you know, it's kind of like that thing. You get home at the same time, so you both know we just arrived, and it's, I don't know, it just creates an aura, a vibe that is really giving what it was supposed to give.
Thank you very much, Arti. I think that's a very interesting way to look at this new timing, and thank you. You said you talked about there being time to bond with your parents while you're stuck in that traffic. I don't know if, okay, traffic time, you can bond, you can talk, but I feel like, don't you think when we're in like during that traffic, it can be very frustrating? Because personally, in a personal experience, I get very frustrated when I'm in traffic, because it's like, it's a car, just move, right? So it gives me frustration. So what do you think? Do you really think that time when everyone is like so frustrated is exactly the moment to bond?
It all depends on how you take it. And personally, I'd rather be anywhere than in that traffic, because considering another problem onto these changes of times we have experienced, when we have to balance between, it's like we have sacrificed academic life, we have sacrificed extracurriculars for academic life, you know. I'd rather be at my dance club, I'd rather be at my writing club but now I find myself that I have to go home and study. So it's all a matter of we do with what we have now, because I wouldn't want to be in that traffic. I'd rather be doing my extracurriculars. And you know how it is with parents, it's all about education first, and the moment something else is disrupting, they pull the plug. So I can't really complain about not doing homeworks to go dance when I have assignments that are due. So yeah, that's basically it.
Thank you very much, Arti. So again, we come to the point, to the fact that it's all about how you manage yourself, because obviously there are a lot of things that you'd rather do, or a lot of other ways that you'd rather, you know, the school system go, you know, there are very many ways that you'd, you know, want it to be, but then it's not like that. This is what we have, and we have to make it work through it all with the homeworks, assignments, extracurriculars. We just have to make it work. So it's all about how you manage yourself and how you manage your time. Thank you very much, Arti. So hello, Esther.
Hello. I totally agree with what you just said. We have to adapt and manage with what we have, because we're going to be doing this for the rest of the year or possible coming years. And I think that with school starting later, it gives us an opportunity to push those extracurriculars to the beginning of the day, where someone can go exercise maybe at 7, they take a run and then they come back, they take a shower and they go to school. Or personally for me, I enjoy learning the violin, so I can push my classes to the beginning of the school day and practice. Also, I've seen that there's been an extreme increase in the classes time. I'm a biology student, so we have longer classes, and longer classes allows the teacher to explain the course more in detail, therefore allowing all of us to understand better. So I'm enjoying school starting at a later time, but 5 is kind of an inconvenience.
Thank you very much. So you say something about the classes being longer. I agree with the teacher being able to explain more on a topic or the subject, or, you know, it gives more time to explain even what students don't understand. But don't you think with the class being longer, some students would, you know, think that it's more tiring? You know, when the classes are longer, that means that you have to keep learning the same thing. You know, you have to keep learning over and over again, which can be kind of exhausting. What's your take on that?
Yes, you've pointed out a good problem, but at our school we're blessed to have teachers who understand that when students are tired, we can give them a 5-minute break to walk around and drink some water. And I believe the other schools in Rwanda have also started doing this. just to allow a student to understand and not try to cram what they're trying to understand.
Thank you very much. I think that's a very interesting take. What do you think, Marie?
Yeah, she's right. Like it's all about how your mind is actually set to do something. If you say your mind as in we're going to do this even though it's hard, even though it's not easy, we keep on adapting to the changes and everything. And yeah, thank you for pointing that out. And hi Aisha.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Great.
So you're the last to speak. We keep the best for the last. Bring out the best.
Of course. So the time changes is not what I would personally prefer, but it doesn't really bother me that much. Like I've come to accept it. Like I adapted to the change. And like Julia mentioned earlier about sleeping without eating, I really had problems in the beginning, like first week. I took time to actually, adapt to the change, but I used to be so exhausted that I would find myself dozing off while studying. I think it was because of longer lessons, maybe the heat, climate changes, or even the traffic. I think it's not like really bad, but at the beginning I had it was acting as an inconvenience for me at the beginning. But now I've come to, use it for the best. Like as a candidate, I am actually a morning person. Like I like my mornings to be productive. So I use the time. First, I used to get 1 hour to, revise or do my personal revision. But now I get 2 hours, which I feel has made a great change. But however, I also love painting and, doing extracurriculars. And like Akti mentioned, we have to sacrifice our extracurriculums for academics because we're getting assignments and tests. We need to prepare for them, but we rather use that time. First, I used to use it for extracurriculums. I used to go out, hang out with friends, or even paint. But now I don't really have the time for it. And I believe it will have a positive effect on our academics. Because if we try to, be more well-disciplined for our sleeping schedules, most of us suffer with that, of course. But if we try to have a nice sleeping schedule, which will help us have a better attention, since the school is starting later, we could sleep in for a few more minutes to have a better attention span at school, which would help us understand better. I feel like that.
Thank you very much, Aisha. I think that's amazing for a person who's so creative. We've heard she's a painter. She does a lot of extracurriculars. Even when we have Culture Day, she's the one that helps, with all the face paintings. So do you really think about the extracurriculars? Do you think that, so you said something about, academics, you have to prioritize your academics before the extracurriculars. But on your own personal take, do you think that extracurriculars are just as important as having academics?
Of course, I do agree that extracurriculums are very important, just as much as the academics, because now when for example, we're going to fill out our university forms and stuff, there is a special column for, they ask what extracurriculars we have, what activities, the certificates and stuff we do. Academics are important, of course. You need good grades, you need good marks, but you also need some other activities to support you.
Thank you very much. So I think that's really great because now we have, as we've seen, extracurriculars as important, not just only for yourself, but even for you to get higher education, you need to have been, to master in other things, not just academics. Grades are important, but it's also good to have something else that you can, relax to. A hobby, it could be painting, it could be singing, it could be dancing, it could be reading, it doesn't matter. And I think that's really great. Thank you very much, Aisha. What do you think, Marie?
Yeah, she's right. academics do count and extracurricular do count as well, and they go hand in hand, because like when you're applying for a university or applying for a job, they always look at that extra thing you're able to do. And the fact that they have to sacrifice their extracurricular activities so as to only focus on academics, it brings in some kind of inconveniences for people who'd like to have those certain of jobs that are only going to, you know, benefit their life. And she mentioned something as in sacrifice. It's such a big word and such a big thing to do. And the fact that she's able to do that, well, as you can see, Madam Mary would not only raise leaders and everything, we also have people who can actually have, you know, those high standards and values.
I think that's really great, because about the sacrifices in life, we have to make so many sacrifices, and the fact that you have recognized that at this level, it means that as Mother Mary, as a school, we're doing something right. Because in life, wherever you go, you always have to make sacrifices, whether it is for the people or something that you like, or, you know, when it comes to prioritizing. In economics and business, we call this opportunity cost, something that you sacrifice, something that you have to give up. And I think that's really great that our fellow students, that we have come to that as a realization, and I think that's amazing. So thank you guys very much. So I'm just gonna have a quick something where I'm gonna ask a question about this, and one of you guys are going to answer it for me. So about this starting time at 8:30 and ending at 5, how do you think your parents have been coping to, parents in general have been coping to this system? Ardi, what do you think?
The biggest joy of a parent to me in our household is spending time with your kids. Our parents, well, my parents definitely enjoy it, because then we get to share breakfast in the morning. That is only something we used to do in weekends in our household. So the fact that we get to share that moment in the morning, and then we will see each other going home together in the evening, getting ready in the morning again. There's been that more time added into our daily lives, because before it was just you break off to work, I break off at school, and that's it. We shall meet probably at dinner, and then home, and then bed, and then morning again. But now there's been that more frequent collisions between our schedules, and that's, I believe that's something every parent does enjoy. Yeah.
Thank you. I think it's also really great when parents are bonding with their children, which is something that seems to be, you know, happening a lot, which is also was an objective when it comes to the changing of the system. So I think that it's working really great. Thank you very much. Well, there you have it, folks. It's been a great discussion. Our students have given us a point of view of how the new system is working out for them, and I think that it's going really great. This is how I think that it's amazing. Thank you guys for being here today. We appreciate you guys. Thank you for giving out your views. It's really great that you can be able to stand on current, you know, the status quo, and talk about your views. Tell us, you know, what you think that is going to work best, because that is how change happens. And with making the world a better place, we need to change, we need to develop, and you can't change something that if you're not, you know, if people are not talking about it. So thank you guys. I appreciate you. What do you think, my co-host?
It's the same pleasure in my heart. I am really grateful to have hosted this show with brilliant students, with young minds that are fresh to opt for change, that are there to just bring out the best for this issue that is happening all around Rwanda. And as you can see, Madam Mary students really have that kind of an eye to what's happening in the world. That's not happening in their families, in their schools, but also worldwide. And it's an honor that you who is watching has been able to watch this. We thank you very much. We thank our students. As you can see, we have a young audience, a young generation, that change is going to happen through them. Change is happening through us. We are the future. And the fact that Madam Mary is raising up the new generation, the young generation, to opt for change is something really good. And thank you guys.
Teaching them to, you know, speak their truth, right? Speak your truth, give your opinions, because, you know, your voice matters no matter what. You can see we have all the grades from grade 7 all the way up to grade 12, and I think it's really amazing that we can have, you know, that moment and thank you guys very much. We appreciate. We hope to have you again. And for the audience, thank you very much for watching. And keep it up. Thank you very much. It's been nice having you. It's been nice, speaking about our truth. It's been amazing. It's your host, Akimana Lilian, and
with Kezingwana Marie. Merci. We hope to see you again. Don't go, don't move. Madame Marie is still here to give you some more. Thank you.
Thank you very much.